this is my forge setup. I'm probably gonna get rid of this grill at some point and actually make a stand for this that I can move around a little bit easier. But these are the tongs that I've made so far. These I actually forged out of bar stock. Just it's like a 3/8 bar stock, and I forged them completely out. This pair, and then also this pair, and those are what I started out with, because you've got to have something to hold stock in order to make tools, and then a lot of blacksmithing is just that, making your own tools. Probably tell what this started out as. These were some snips for trimming horse hooves, so this is what it looked like before I modified it. They just came to a point, and what I did is I took some channel, and this is, I believe it's 1 by 3/8 channel. You could also do this with a piece of square tube and just cut it in half, but this was really easy to make. All I did was I simply cut back the bit on these snips, and then I welded on that bar stock. I literally just welded it on both sides, cleaned it all up, did a little bit of a heat treat, and those are excellent tongs. Excellent tongs, especially for railroad spikes, smaller bar stock, square stock, round stock. You know, they work for pretty much everything. The only thing that they don't have is a place to hold stock across it. And so, and another thing about these, you know, everybody likes to start out with railroad spikes. There's nothing wrong with that at all. They're great practice. You can do a lot of decorative stuff with it. In fact, this spoon is made from one railroad spike, so there's quite a bit of metal in them. But if you put a railroad spike in here, the head will fit in this opening if you're working the pointed end, and that just works out great. So it's nice to have that big opening right there. The other pair that I made the same way, again, these are hoof nippers. It even says right on it, made in the USA. So I did the same thing. These don't have quite as big of an opening in the top, and that's just because of how much of the bit that I cut off. But this is for smaller stock, and you notice I've got a crossway in here, so you can hold things across also, which that really comes in handy. You know, if you're working on something in this direction, because you're not always working on something straight out in front of you. So it works great for that. Works great for that. This is turned down. I think this is about 3/8 of an inch thick. So, but you can, you know, all the way up to 1 inch. These tongs would work great. And what I made those out of was actually 2 small pieces of angle. It's about 1/8 inch thick, and they were like a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch angle, and I just cut a couple short pieces off of it. And if you look at that, I actually shaped the nipper a little bit to actually fit that down in it on both sides, so that passes all the way through as far as being able to pass your material through. But that's pretty simple, pretty basic. I mean, these are really nice quality tongs. Both of these nippers I picked up at a little flea market or antique mall, like $1, $2. You know, I mean, super cheap. So those are a very easy and inexpensive way to make yourself some nice tongs, and I'll probably use those forever. I don't have any intention of replacing them with anything else. They just work great. If in the future I need to make something to fit a specific thing, I may make some more tongs, but these are just great, you know, general use. But the only thing you really need is a grinder and a welder to make those. So, and if you don't have a welder, most people know someone that does, and they can pay them a little bit, or, you know, trade services, or maybe just get a favor if it's a friend, and because that's a pretty easy little weld. Another thing that I have on here that I made are my twisting tools. So if you're going to use square or hexagon shaped stock and you want to put it in your post vise and do a decorative twist, you know, reverse twist, just plain twist, whatever. There's a bunch of different types of twists. But anyways, I took this is just an old crescent wrench that I picked up at a flea market. This one and that one. They're good, heavy steel, still in good shape for as old as they are, and there again, a couple bucks a piece. I mean, you know, very inexpensive. I took some Craftsman wrenches. They were like an adjustable type of wrench, but they were really kind of useless. In fact, all the time I've had them, I've never used them. So I took that wrench and I cut the handle off to fit the top of the head and just welded it on. And that way you have an adjustable wrench, but you've got two handles, so you can manage that better. You've got more control over it. You can also keep the piece balanced. You can imagine if you didn't have this handle and you just put a wrench on it and you started twisting, well, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to bend. It's going to curve off in whatever direction you're trying to twist. But this way, you're putting even pressure on both sides and you can do your twists. This one, exact same thing, only smaller. So I would use this probably for up to like 1/2 inch stock. If it's anything bigger than that, I'll go to the big guy. But and you could do bigger than that. You could probably even do 1 inch or larger. The only thing about it is it just has narrow jaws, so you got to keep that in mind with your stock size. You don't want to twist something heavy. Those narrow jaws, they're going to have a tendency to cut in, and it might make your piece look kind of crappy. So those are some of my tools that I've made that I use on a regular basis, and they're very beneficial. Something that I use all the time, and again, something that a beginning blacksmith can easily make. Very easy to recreate these and get a lot of use out of them. So, you know, everything, when you get into a new trade like blacksmithing or welding or anything else, the initial expense is always the tools. You know, you have to have the right tools for the job. And so anything that you can make yourself to save some of that expense but still have good tools, that's money in your pocket, and that's money you can put towards a better anvil, or building yourself a nice forge, or a belt sander. You know, just things like that you may have to spend the money on, but you can save a little money in other areas. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.